I think the last couple of years have been out of line, and we need to fix that.
11 Investigates tonight. Police cannot do their jobs without help from the communities they serve.
And there's no program more well known for helping than Crime Stoppers. You've heard it before. Neighbors can give anonymous tips for a reward. But does this national program work to solve crimes here in Toledo?
Our Michael Tatar has been digging for answers for part 2 of our violent crime series.
And he joins us now and tells us more about what he's been looking into.
That's right, guys. We looked at tax documents from the last 2 years for Crime Stoppers. In 2019, it paid out almost $22,000 to tipsters. But in 2020, that number dropped to just $7,400, despite having over $400,000 in the bank. I went to the organization to find out why it's paying less, why there's a disconnect with the community, and how to fix it.
We start with breaking news.
You've probably heard the call for help.
Anyone with information is asked to call again.
Even right here on WTOL.
To call Crime Stopper at
419-255-1111. But at its core, what is Crime Stoppers?
Crime Stopper is a program that was developed in the early 1980s in order to get anonymous tips and pay rewards on various crimes throughout the area.
Jim Wiegand has been president since the 1990s, but a part of it since it started. The former Toledo Police and Bowling Green State University chief says the Crime Stopper program has been highly successful over the years, but 2020 was different. The group paid out just $7,400 and ended the year with over $400,000 in the bank.
I think it was an anomaly. Certainly it was lower than we've paid out in the past. Why? That's a good question.
He believes COVID and the pandemic were a distraction for people, even as violent crime rose here in the Glass City. But he also believes the tenuous relationship between police and communities across the country is playing a role.
There may be a little reluctance to be involved in the police department.
But Crime Stoppers is supposed to be a community organization, independent from the police. How do we know this? Well, we tracked down the founder of the program, Greg McAleese.
We're solving a major case somewhere in the world every 13 minutes.
He created the first Crime Stoppers group in Albuquerque as a detective in 1976. Now there are more than 2,000 groups in 28 countries that have solved more than 2 million crimes and paid out $120 million in rewards. He created the program to be led by the people, business owners, private citizens. But Toledo's program has several law enforcement board members, including the Toledo Police Chief, Lucas County Sheriff, and the Lucas County Prosecutor. McAleese says that's a red flag.
It's very important that the community have ownership of this program and that it's not viewed as a law enforcement quote program.
Toledo has never been affiliated with the National Crime Stopper USA, but McAleese says they would advise the local group to create an all-civilian board. President Wiegand says it's always ran it through TPD.
I don't think it's a conflict. I don't really, I really don't know why they think that. Again, I think we've been 40 years doing this. We've been very successful.
He admits 2020 was not the best year. Both payouts and calls were down. Wiegand knows people fear retribution for helping police, even though the program keeps them anonymous.
What we as a board have to do is figure out a way to increase those calls and increase those payouts. We have money. We want to pay the money. We want to assist the various law enforcement agencies in the area.
But they're not the only ones trying to enlist the public's help to solve crime.
It's nice to get out and actually interact, more on a one-on-one basis with people in the community.
Officer Justin Seminiak is one of 8 in Toledo's Community Services Division. Each is assigned to a sector in the city and given more time than patrol cops to walk and talk to neighbors and get to know them.
I believe they open up to us a lot more because we get to see them one-on-one basis. They get to trust us, talk to us a lot more because we walk around.
We are human. A lot of times people see this, they see the uniform and they have a certain perception of what police officers are, and then they'll get to talk to you and know you.
Chief George Kroll has said he would like to add more community service officers. But whether it's Crime Stoppers or the CSOs, they're just some of the many tools needed to stop this violence.
Maybe we can be the people that stop crime before it takes place.
Crime Stoppers, we look at that as being a real weapon. It's the citizen's weapon to fight back against crime.
The information is out there. We just need to get it.
Now, Macaulay says Crime Stoppers has always worked because of the partnership between the public, the police, and the media. He was adamant that Crime Stoppers Toledo should rethink its board to be made up of only civilian members, and that could help people trust more in the program.
Michael, Michael, you spoke with police and obviously the Crime Stoppers folks for this story, but what about the city of Toledo? Where does it stand on the numbers, and what do those look like this year?
Well, I actually spoke to Mayor Wade Kapsakavich about this, and he was actually just as surprised about the payouts and how few tips are coming in. Take a listen.
Incredibly high percentage of the violence we're seeing this year involves individuals who know each other. And so what's happening is the reason that they're not sharing information with law enforcement, the reason they're not calling Crime Stoppers to collect their reward is because they are afraid of retaliation against themselves. In other words, they are valuing their own life more than whatever amount they would get from Crime Stoppers.
And that challenge has continued into this year. Crime Stoppers Toledo has paid out a little over $9,000 so far this year out of just 231 calls. That's just $2,000 more than last year, and we're on track to have the most deadly year in the city's history. There are good people living where these shootings are happening. They're just too afraid to call, and everyone agrees they need to do something to change that.
For sure. Thanks so much, Michael. When you have more than 1,500 shots fired over an 8-month period, there are going to be a lot of people injured or killed. And 2021, as Michael said, is likely to go down as the most violent year in Toledo history. The violence is tearing families apart, and tomorrow night we'll introduce you to one of those families impacted by all this violence.
I see my brother's bike, and I see my brother. He was laying on the floor. He had a lot of blood on him. I got out the car. I tried to run to him. When I got to him, I touched his hand. He was just looking at me like he was scared.
Tomorrow night, we'll also tell you what the mayor told lead investigator Brian Duggar about all this violence. And for more on this topic, you can go to WTOL.com or a free news app.